ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. You join us here today at the Stephanie Millward Sports Hall for another Springfield Cup quarter-final clash between Up in Smoke FC and Jaipur Takeaway, two teams who are already familiar with one another, having faced off within the last week in the CCSFF League. The match finished in a 3-3 draw at the Grove Road allotments, and whilst today's match takes a slightly different form as it is a Springfield Cup match, a feeling of unfinished business very much hangs in the air here at the Springfield Centre for this fascinating fixture. I'm Dave Mattingly, here alongside me to soak up the action and provide his expert insight, a former journeyman of the CCSFF, and I hope he won't take offence to that title, it's Gavin Gooseberry.
No, not at all. Hello everybody, hello Dave. It's true I did bounce around clubs a bit during my playing career. Bence's Lane is where my heart will always lie, but I also enjoyed great spells with both of these clubs. It was later in my career when I played for Jaipur Takeaway, and I found them to be an extremely professional outfit, which is reflected in their 4.5 star rating on Google Maps. Granted, that score is for the takeaway and not the football team, but the two are managed with very much the same founding principles: a high attention for detail, a strong work ethic, and an occasional willingness to experiment with so-called out-of-date products, which many considered me to be at that stage in my career. I'd like to think I changed a lot of people's opinions over my final season with the Booner boys, with 5 goals, 7 assists and 3 birds fingered, but the point is, Jaipur Takeaway are a classy outfit. Excellent player discount offered as well, I might add. For all those budding youngsters out there, it's not all about the money, the fame and the sweet punani action. Sometimes heavily discounted Indian food can serve as a great reward for your efforts on the pitch too. And another of my former clubs featuring today, Up in Smoke FC. Whilst them and Bence's Lane have their grievances with one another, particularly with regards to Regis Fields, I prefer to stay out of that whole discussion. For me, Up in Smoke are a much misunderstood club. They're a club renowned for their laid-back attitude and high-level connections, and I'm not talking about in the transfer market. I think what is often overlooked by many is that the club is extremely focused on football, and outside of their strict training regime, their highly scientific dietary plans, and their tactical focus on touch-pass football, to me what the players, the backroom staff and the fans do in their own time is their business. I think anyone who takes issue with Up in Smoke on a moral level needs to go suck on a stitch-up and lighten up.
We are, of course, not encouraging the use of any illegal substances here. My colleague Gavin was speaking metaphorically, I'm sure. But for me, you make a profound point, Gavin. I'm starting to think that I myself have been far too judgmental for far too long. You really opened my eyes last night. My friend, colleague, and current flatmate Gavin Gooseberry took me to a wonderful establishment last night, the Flamingo Club. It's a magical place full of liberated people and free spirits, the likes of which I'm ashamed to say I had yet to encounter until last night. We drank Jagger bombs and danced the night away, and although I woke up this morning with a pounding headache, I also feel I woke up with a more open mind. But I digress. The Springfield Cup, of course, means indoor football, 5-a-side, no out of bounds, no referees, and, other than 60 fans on the viewing balcony, no one to hear you scream. As I mentioned, these two teams, who find themselves in the bottom half of the table early doors, faced off a week ago in the league. Let's see how the managers have adapted their approach to today's fixture with the team news with Gavin Gooseberry.
Thanks, Dave. Up in Smoke manager Dan McCabe has chosen to make little change to the side he fielded against the Curry boys last week. Babcock has dropped, but the other 5 players all featured for the Smoke in that draw. Jason Paradise continues in goal. After reportedly being disgruntled earlier in this season at not being the first choice goalkeeper, he has, I'm told, been working hard in training, and he starts a second consecutive match with the gloves today. Paradise between the posts means Shane Moulton plays again as a lone centre back. Moulton brings a certain amount of hardness to this lineup, and if, as we're all hoping, some decisions get settled by fist rather than words, he'll be in the mix, I'm sure. And Jaipur Takeaway players will not be lining up to take a headbutt from Shane Moulton and his plentiful cranium. Gary the Governor Swain has been talking all week about how he'd prove his doubters wrong today, and he was taking shots at the Jaipur's star striker Adam Taylor on Twitter, saying he would have the number 10 in his pocket. And Swain, who showed up today fully kitted, looks dismayed and upset on the balcony to not be featuring today. Swain is obviously a hugely influential player in the Smokes dressing room, and it took balls for manager McCabe to omit the fiery defender from the lineup. Whether it's a decision McCabe will come to regret remains to be seen. Simon Waters and Adi Webb start in the midfield. Waters, another who can hold his own in a fisticuff throwdown. More of a rugby player than a footballer, but this is the Springfield Cup and some of those rugby skills could come in handy. And good old Webby, a little undersized, but he's tough as old boots, and I'll be watching him closely in his key matchup with Michael Bowler of the Booner Boys today. And still no sign of Aston Keogh for Up in Smoke. Some suggested he was rested last week to be ready for today's game, but it seems rather he has fallen out of favour with manager McCabe, who sticks with club captain Henry Conrad at centre forward in this one. Conrad has been scoring freely in the league with 4 goals in his first 3 outings, and he's another player I'll be keeping an eye on in another key matchup against the Jaipur's bigger boy Simon Hancock.
Speaking of bigger boys, Gavin, Up in Smoke are without one since trading Tim Jeffries to Dave Brown's boys in exchange for Adi Webb. Do you think that will hurt their chances of getting a fair shake of the dice today?
No, I don't think so, Dave. Other than their bigger boy Hancock, Jaipur Takeaway aren't a particularly hard team, and peace and tranquility are very much central in the club's approach to the game. The Smoke boys are loyal to each other, and I think as long as they stick together, they'll be able to stop Hancock bossing them around. And if the match does end up getting tasty, I can see most of these Smoke lads getting well amongst it, with the obvious exception of Conrad, who will be out the fire escape in a flash if a fight breaks out.
Undoubtedly. Now, Gavin, talk us through Dr. Christian Heron Burgundy's team sheet.
Well, Christian Heron Burgundy's team...
Gavin, you have to say doctor before you say the man's name. I told you his lawyers have been in touch.
You what? Is he like Dr. Fox or something? I mean, he ain't curing people of cancer, is he?
No, it's a different kind of... I don't have time to explain now. You just got to say doctor before his name. He's a very powerful man.
Fuck's sake. Right. Dr. Christian Heron Burgundy's team looks much the same as it did in the league last week. Lee Ratcliffe has gone on record in the media several times this week with contrasting stories as to why he's been dropped. I think the last one I heard was that he'd had to go join the British Army at an undisclosed location to teach them how to operate their tanks at an elite level. I'm not so sure about that, but either way, Ratcliffe is not suiting up today. Club captain and prolific pacifist Gareth Unwin continues in goal for the Curry boys. Unwin has let in 9 goals already this season, which is second most only to their opponents today, who between Moulton and Paradise have allowed 10 goals. Unwin is very much of the old school of goalkeeping, is unlikely to venture forward as some goalkeepers tend to do in the Springfield Cup. While Unwin wears the armband, many will also be looking to the leadership of Simon Hancock today, who will be tasked with neutralising the threat of Conrad up front for the Smoke, but also in initiating attacks and getting forward whenever possible. He's got a cannon of a right leg on him, and in this smaller playing area, he'll be a danger man from the back. Mark Jervis is perhaps a surprise selection today. Don't get me wrong, he's a lovely guy, but he's a lot more likely to be a popular contestant on the Great British Bake Off than an effective midfielder under the bright lights and imminent threat of violence of the Springfield Cup. More than likely to be doing the majority of the heavy lifting in the middle of the hall today is Michael Bowler. His range of passing and his low centre of gravity are sure to face tough examination today. And Jaipur Takeaway's poster boy Adam Taylor is risked today. He's unlikely to come out of this one unscathed, with his tricky footwork and slight frame, making him an ideal candidate to receive less than gentle treatment from the Smokes defence, particularly mercenaries Waters and Moulton. Taylor will be hoping for good service from the back, but also a willingness to back him up if he is targeted in today's match.
So, both teams opting for a 1-2-1 formation. Some fascinating individual battles all over the pitch. Both teams have chosen to employ their full arsenal of big guns today too, which is pleasing to see. Dan McCabe giving a few last-minute words of encouragement to his players. Dr. Christian Heron Burgundy sits cross-legged in his manager's box, almost motionless, a thoughtful look on his face, the occasional cloud of hookah smoke billowing from his lips. The 30 or so Jaipur Takeaway fans on the balcony are certainly doing their bit to add to this fantastic atmosphere. Complete with bells and drums and a few instruments I'm not entirely familiar with, they certainly provide a charming din. We're just waiting for the final few Up in Smoke fans to file in through the fire exit from the back car park by the vents, where some of the finest handcrafted baggies are well known to be stashed for communal use.
Yeah, there's usually some pretty high quality smoking devices in the bush as well, over by the corner of the Red Bar.
Those fans are taking their places in the viewing gallery now. Springfield staff member Richard Toggle tosses the ball into the middle of the sports hall from the entrance, and play is underway here in this, the third of 4 Springfield Cup quarterfinals. Mark Jervis meanders over halfway on the right side. He looks tentative in the early going. Oh, and a bone-crunching body check against the wall there from Simon Waters. Dispossesses Jervis. Waters finds Webb, and he's quickly on the advance here with Conrad ahead of him. Webb is harassed by Bowler of the Curry boys, but he's able to slip it to Conrad, who touches it back to Webb. Hancock in limbo. Webb takes a touch, shapes to shoot, but he instead finds Conrad once more, who does shoot! And Unwin is equal to the task there, tipping the ball around the post, and against the wall. Conrad chases the rebound, but he's crowded out there by Bowler and Hancock. Bowler comes away with it and pumps it forward. Slick interchange there between Webb and Conrad. Had Hancock not known whether he was coming or going. Definitely worth a try from Conrad, but he just didn't really catch it cleanly. It was a comfortable save for Unwin in the end. It's been a quiet first half so far. Few sights of goal for either team. Jaipur takeaway have struggled to pass their way through the up-in-smoke midfield and get Taylor involved. Hancock is in possession at the back here, and he's again looking to feed it forward, but Webb closes him down and squares it instead to Michael Bowler. Bowler has few options, and he looks frustrated as he's forced into a back pass to Unwin. Unwin has time, saunters beyond the edge of his D, hits a low-driven pass in search of Taylor. Moulton scrambling to get to Taylor. Paradise is indecisive. Oh, but Taylor has stepped over the ball, completely wrong-footing the Smokes goalkeeper Paradise. And the pass from Unwin has rolled all the way in. Clever play there from Taylor.
It was clever, Dave. Moulton looked very much like he was about to take a chunk out of Taylor there, and I don't know if that factored into the striker's thinking. But it's worked out nicely for him and for Gareth Unwin, who looks as surprised as he is delighted as he pumps both fists in the air in celebration. Shane Moulton is the type of centre-back who speaks more with his unibrow than with his words, but he and Paradise could have used a bit more verbal communication there. It's a cheap goal to concede for Up in Smoke.
It's been a cagey affair so far, but Jaipur takeaway have finally broken the deadlock. They lead here at the Stephanie Millward Sports Hall, 1-0. I can't remember the last time I danced like I did last night, Gavin. That DJ really knew his way around the 1s and 2s. Do you remember when he played the Venga Boys?
Yes, Dave, I remember when he played the Venga Boys.
Oh, I'm sorry, Gavin. I know you probably have nights like that all the time, but for me it was a truly special evening. I never had nights out like that with my wife. She's more into book clubs. Looks like the players have reached a resolution here. There had been heated debate between Hancock of Jaipur and a committee of Waters, Webb and Conrad of the Smoke, with Moulton looming behind them, his eyes rolled back slightly in his head for maximum effect. But the agreement seems to be to call it half-time. Hancock is waving his team out of the sports hall now and off to the dressing room. Conrad and co exiting through the other door. The up-in-smoke fans donning their hoodies and readying their chillums as they exit the viewing gallery. The first half finishes Jaipur takeaway 1, Up-in-Smoke FC 0. We're almost 5 minutes into the second half now, and things have really picked up after a lackluster first half. The game has a higher tempo, with one team counter-attacking, and then the other team counter-attacking, then the other team counter-attacking, and that's as many attacks as there have been so far. But there could be another here, with Moulton releasing Waters into a little space on the right side for Up-in-Smoke. Jervis comes across to challenge Waters. Oh, but Waters stiff-arms him in the face and Jervis goes down. Play continues despite Unwin's high-pitched appeals. Conrad has taken up a good position in the centre, just outside the D. Webb is also available. Bowler offers a half pressure, and Waters does look to find Conrad here. He's back to goal. Oh, a turn away from Hancock, and a left-footed shot into the bottom right corner. 1-1. Conrad let the ball roll across his body, deceiving Hancock, and it was a smart finish across a fully outstretched Gareth Unwin. Jervis is still down just inside his own half after some physical play from Simon Waters, but he showed he's not all brute strength with a nice assist there.
Unwin throwing a right wobbler. He clearly feels there was a foul in the build-up to that goal. Him and Shane Moulton exchanging a few words there. Take nothing away from Conrad though. There's a tidy finish with his left foot, and his rich vein of goal-scoring form continues. Neither Jervis or Unwin are hard enough to try to police the game, and Unwin is now remonstrating with perhaps the one man who is. That's bigger boy Simon Hancock. He places two hands on Unwin's shoulders, and it looks like he's telling him to chill the fuck out. Taylor will restart the match now for Jaipur takeaway. He plays it to the increasingly nervous Mark Jervis, who hot potatoes it all the way back to Unwin, who's being chased down by Conrad. Unwin slices his long ball against the side wall, a waste of possession as Moulton collects it for the smoke deep in his own half. Taylor, upset with the poor service from Unwin, is pouting rather than pressuring here, and Moulton slides it neatly to the feet of Webb, who's able to turn on the ball. Webb has his head up and he advances towards Bowler. Conrad's dropping deep, looking for it. He's tracked by Hancock. Webb instead looks for the forward run of Waters with a nifty little scoop pass over the top, and Waters is onto it. He's through on goal and he fizzes it past Unwin. This game has been turned on its head in a matter of moments. Up it's Smoke, whose manager Dan McCabe must have imparted some sound advice in the half-time team talk. They've taken the lead now. Jaipur takeaway seem like they're still reeling after that first goal. They didn't close down quickly enough. Webby with a crafty bit of play in the midfield, a lovely scoop pass to Waters. And Waters opted for power with a finish, and it was past Unwin and into the back of the net before he knew what had happened. Hancock is giving Jervis a bit of a bollocking for his lack of involvement there. Ease up, Hanky. Jervis looks like he's going to cry. This is no arena for the faint of heart, Gavin. Jaipur takeaway need to find some stability in this second half, and fast. Bowler and Webb pursue the loose ball into the corner now. Bowler will get to it first, but Webb is snapping at his heels. Oh, Michael Bowler with a heavy shoulder barge on Webby, sending him sprawling out the double doors there. The doors flap open again and Webb is immediately back into the fray. Bowler didn't get far and Webb's back between ball and goal. Bowler settles for a short crossfield pass to Jervis, who is understandably unmarked. Nervous Jervis has already seen more than enough boys who don't play nicely rushing towards him menacingly today. He lets out a yelp as he offloads the ball backwards to Hancock. Stark contrast in the body language of Jervis and Hancock as the bigger boy strides forward. What a difference a few pubes can make to your confidence. He's crossing the halfway line and he's still not being closed down. Waters and Webb have momentarily parted. Moulton begins to step up and Hancock shoots and it's in! What a strike for Bungle! Barely any backlift. It stayed low to the ground and lasered into the left side of Jason Paradise's goal. Fantastic strike there from Hancock. I think that would have shattered the dainty wrists of Jason Paradise if he had got his hands to that rocket. Smoke lost their shape, having been very tight in the midfield most of the game, and the bigger boy Hanky did not need a second invitation. Hancock waves his teammates back into their half now. He seems eager to get the action restarted. He's got his team back on level terms. It's 2-2 now. We're into the final third of this match and everything's still to play for. The place in the semi-finals very much still up for grabs. Bowler has it for the Curry boys. He turns away from Webb, using his stocky frame to good effect. And he plays it out to the left to Nervous Jervis, who runs away from the ball. As if it were a live grenade there. Adam Taylor will try to chase it down instead. He's come a ways out of position, but Jaipur maintained possession here. Taylor has Shane Moulton on his back. He's facing this near side wall. Moulton kicking his ankles and jabbing with elbows. Oh, but Taylor cleverly knocks the ball against the wall, spins away from Moulton and collects it. He's goal side of Moulton now. No one in the middle to aim for, so Taylor drags it back. He's 5 yards outside the D to the left of the goal. He rolls it back to Hancock! Simon Hancock with another bullet from long distance. Paradise may feel he should have done better. He got hands to that one, but couldn't keep it out. This game is swinging back and forth like a pendulum, and it's Jaipur takeaway now who lead. Great play for Taylor on the left side there. Lovely bit of skill to skip past Moulton. And great presence of mind to feed the bigger boy Hancock. What a strike it was. We said before the game that he would be a goal threat despite playing at centre-back, and that's proven to be the case here. Up in Smoke will be gutted to have come back and taken the lead, only to see themselves fall behind again with less than 15 minutes on the clock now. Jaipur takeaway, keeping possession nicely here. The Up in Smoke boys are not giving up though. They're working well as a unit to close down the ball carrier, who currently is Simon Hancock, just right of centre in his own half. Conrad is chasing after him. Hancock to Bowler. Around the halfway line. Jervis is wide open on the left, but the Curry boys have all but stopped passing to him. Bowler instead attempts a more difficult pass to Taylor, and Moulton snuffs it out. He did well there to nip in front of Taylor, and Moulton thumps it high against the wall on the far side, and it's coming down around the centre circle. Oh, Bowler's misjudged the spin of the ball, and Webb is able to latch onto it for the Smoke. Conrad's ahead, but he's well marked this time by Hancock. Nice touch from Webb past Jervis. He shoots! And it's off target. A right-footed shot from about 5 yards outside the D, but he dragged it wide of Unwin's left post. Webb with his head in his hands. Oh, he's unlucky. Webby will be hoping that's not their last chance, but time is against them here. Paradise frantically rolls the ball out to Webb on the right side. We're into the last couple minutes of this match. Webb's under pressure from Bowler. He plays a pass off the wall. Oh, nice from Webb. It reaches Conrad. Oh, Simon Hancock sweeps the legs of Conrad and he goes down in a heap. Waters of the Smoke picks the ball up immediately to stop bigger boy Hancock from playing on. And he's berating Hancock for that challenge. Webb and Moulton are confronting Hancock now too. Michael Bowler is trying to play peacemaker. Oh, Moulton shoves Hancock and Hanky responds in turn. These pussies aren't going to fight. Henry Conrad is getting to his feet now, and he's absolutely livid. He's stomping his feet, flapping his arms around wildly and squawking at Hancock. He's in full body tantrum mode here. He's making a right tit of himself. Michael Bowler has managed to walk his teammate Hancock away from the melee. Hancock's expression has barely changed since he started this mess. What's the resolution going to be, though? Conrad has started storming towards the exit. He stops halfway, though, and turns around to launch another verbal assault. You fucking bitch! He's saying he's not playing anymore if you don't get his way. Perhaps the other players have calmed down a little at this point, and Hancock is walking over to Simon Waters, who's still holding the ball. They're talking, and from Hancock's body language, I think he's agreed to the Up in Smoke free kick. Yes, he's waving his team back to their defensive positions. Well. A relatively peaceful resolution in the Springfield Cup. Who'd have thought? Told you they weren't going to fight. Proper letdown. But I suppose it's a sporting gesture from Hancock. So Up in Smoke have one last throw of the dice here to force extra time. Manager McCabe in the viewing gallery has been extremely animated throughout, and he's waving everyone, including goalkeeper Jason Paradise, forward into Jaipur takeaway's third of the haul here. Simon Waters has barely moved. He still holds the ball under his right arm as he surveys a crowded D. It appears that Waters will take the free kick as Webb and Conrad have joined Moulton and Paradise in the D. Now Waters places the ball just inside the Jaipur half, close to this near side wall, the left of the hall from an Up in Smoke perspective. He carefully measures his run up with 3 long steps back and 1 to his left. You could cut the tension with a knife here. They reckon he's just going to welly it in the mixer here. Here comes the free kick from Waters. Oh, he thumps it, but it's mishit. The ball flies across the hall off the basketball hoop on the far side, and it's looping towards the Jaipur goal. Conrad jumps, Hancock misses it, so does Unwin. Paradise! A bizarre goal, but it's the equaliser! It peeked off the basketball hoop and across the face of goal. How the ball reached Paradise at the far post is beyond me. Conrad couldn't get his head to it. Hancock couldn't stretch far enough to divert it. Unwin was flapping and Paradise pounced. The Up in Smoke players are piling on top of Jason Paradise in celebration. Unbelievable, Dave. Oh, the weirdest goal I've seen in a long time. I'm not sure why Webby weren't taking the free kick, and Waters has obviously ballsed it up, but to glorious effect. And of all people, it's the Up in Smoke goalkeeper who gets the equaliser. Incredible. Well, there will be extra time after all. Jason Paradise sees to that. Bigger boy Hancock pounds the ball with his fist into the ground in frustration, and then he calls his teammates to the opposite end of the hall. Unwin is acting like he's the one calling the shots for Jaipur takeaway, but Hancock is clearly the one commanding respect. Both teams forming huddles at either end of the Stephanie Millward Sports Hall in preparation for this extra time period. What a finish to normal time, Dave. Very difficult to predict what will happen in extra time, but for me, Up in Smoke have been the better team over the 60 minutes, and they deserve their late equaliser. If you're tuning in now, hoping to hear Caroline Cheeseman's Nout as Queer as Folk, I'm sorry to inform you that this week's broadcast has been postponed in light of this Springfield Cup quarter-final requiring extra time. Catch up with Caroline and her balmy army next week at the same time. Now, there are certainly some tired legs out there as we approach the 10-minute mark in this first half of extra time. So much tension in the hall. The players can sense that their next mistake could be fatal for their club's cup hopes. Shane Moulton of the Smoke passes to Simon Watters. Jervis keeping a safe distance from him. Watters pounds it hopefully down this near wall. Conrad is chasing, pursued by Hancock. Conrad will get to it first in that corner by the door, but Hancock lets him feel his bigger boy's strength as he tries to contain Conrad. Oh, but Conrad gives him the slip, a great turn. He's cutting in from the right side at a tight angle. Unwin comes out, he pulls it back for Webb! An easy finish for Adrian Webb! And this game sways once more in favour of Up in Smoke. It's 4-3 here in extra time. Lovely bit of skill from Princess Conrad. I think he nutmegged Hancock there. Webby saw the play developing quickly and beat Michael Bowler to the danger zone. And Conrad served it on a plate. No massive celebrations from the players this time though. They know there's still 20 minutes to play, and especially in this game, anything can happen. The third lead change of this incredible match. Up in Smoke now lead, 4-3. Hancock dispossesses Conrad in this near side corner now. 10 minutes to play and Jaipur takeaway still hunting for an equaliser. Bowler comes short and exchanges a 1-2 with Hancock, who's crossed the hall from left to right now. Watters steps up to challenge him and Hancock goes past him. Poor effort from Watters there. Hancock advances up the right side. Taylor's ducking and diving in the D. But Hancock squares it to Bowler, who has Webb for company. Bowler shoots and it's in! More drama here. Michael Bowler with a snapshot as he moved across the hall on his right foot that had Paradise grasping thin air. It's 4-4 now. Great Bowler movement there. Very clean and concise. As the ball goes flying towards the Smokes goalkeeper, Jason Paradise. It has a little Bowler movement in the air, and it wasn't what Paradise expected at all. He thought it was just gas, but it took a turn, and it's ended up a big mess for Up in Smoke. Jaipur takeaway are celebrating on the far side of the hall from us. But in this near corner, the lanky, brightly coloured frame of Richard Toghill is looming, the Springfield Centre staff member overseeing the sports hall today. Not sure what the problem is. Watters and Conrad are in conversation with Toghill now. And 4 more people have just walked into the Stephanie Millward Sports Hall. They look like badminton players. 2 middle-aged couples, it would appear. I'm not sure how long the sports hall has been booked for. Yes, I'm being told that that is precisely the issue here. Half of the sports hall is booked for badminton at 7:30, and it's now 7:34. This game is obviously overrun. Richard Toghill is now pulling the curtain across the halfway line. And the question on everybody's lips is, what happens now? Well, after some conversation between Springfield representative Bog Hill and team captains Conrad and Unwin, it has been decided they can keep the one half of the hall for a penalty shootout, but they will be charged half price for an extra hour. A mixed result, but at least we will have a conclusion to this hard-fought battle today. Both managers have made their way down to the sports hall and are giving their players a last-minute pep talk. Some herbal tea being passed around in the Jaipur takeaway huddle, it would appear. And the Up in Smoke players are passing a little something around their huddle too.
But Bigger Boy Hancock is walking out to the centre of the floor and signalling that it's time to begin the penalty shootout. Gavin, your thoughts?
It's been a great game. Neither team deserves to lose, but there's only one place in the semi-finals available. A lot of bum cheeks will be flapping going into this dramatic showdown. I would say Jaipur Takeaway have the better goalkeeper in Unwin, but I think it will be more about who can hold their nerve here, I suspect.
Since this is 5-a-side, every player is scheduled to take a penalty. If scores are equal after 5 penalties for each team, then we will enter sudden death. Hancock has the ball under one arm, and with the other, he points at Jason Paradise. He throws the ball to Adam Taylor on this near side of the sports hall, and it appears Jaipur Takeaway will be going first in this shootout. It'll be Taylor versus Paradise first up. Taylor positions the ball carefully and assumes the position. Paradise has a determined look in his eye, but Taylor sends him the wrong way. An assured start for Jaipur Takeaway from Adam Taylor. Captain Henry Conrad will take the first penalty for the Smoke here. Gareth Unwin staring him down. A swift approach, and it's in! Unwin guessed right, but it's accurately struck in the bottom left corner from Conrad. Michael Bowler now emerges from the Jaipur Tea Party and takes the long walk to the penalty spot. Paradise is jiggling around on his goal line as Bowler places the ball and takes a deep breath. Bowler buries it! A powerful shot into the right side. Paradise didn't move. Adrian Webb is next up for Up in Smoke FC. Webby ain't gonna miss. He looks confident. He's put in a hell of a shift today in midfield. Unwin leaning against his left post. A bit of mind games here, I suspect. Webb smirks, and Unwin now does take the centre of his goal. Adrian Webb. It's in! A precise penalty into the bottom right corner. And now it's the turn of Jaipur Takeaway's Mark Jervis. He's currently in a seemingly deep conversation with Dr. Krishnan Heron Burgundy, who has perhaps sensed that Jervis has been a weak link today. Jervis does now sheepishly walk to collect the ball and ready himself for this penalty. He's bricking it. Jervis wipes the sweat from his brow, puffs his cheeks, and here he goes. And the toe punt is in! Straight down the middle. Paradise dive to his right. Oh, the look of relief on Jervis's face is really something to behold. Simon Waters now up for Up in Smoke. Scored and assisted in this game. He measures out his run-up as he did with that free kick in the final minute of normal time. Oh, he places it over the bar. Gareth Unwin pumps his fist in the air once more. The first miss of this shootout. And up steps the curly assassin, Bigger Boy Simon Hancock. He's had his hands full with Conrad today, but he's been excellent going forward. With 2 goals. A short run-up and it rattles off the crossbar! Paradise wasn't getting close to it, but Hancock has missed. After 5 straight conversions, both teams have missed one now. 3 penalty takers remain. The goalkeepers Paradise and Unwin, and Shane Moulton, who's slowly making his way into the pressure cooker for Up in Smoke. Gareth Unwin is walking over to him. And he's saying something, I can't make it out. Not words of encouragement, I suspect. Moulton doesn't take kindly to whatever was said, and I could certainly lip-read his response. He places the ball on the spot and prepares for this crucial penalty. Unwin is pointing to the right side of his goal as he sways back and forth. Moulton approaches and scores! He called Unwin's bluff, and the Curry Boys keeper remains stationary. Moulton is barking in celebration to the Up in Smoke fans on the balcony, and now he's barking at Gareth Unwin, who is next up for Jaipur Takeaway, deadlocked as we are at 3-3 in this shootout. So it comes down to the goalkeepers. Gareth Unwin staring down the face of his opposite number, Jason Paradise. Shane Moulton is furiously harassing Unwin from the sideline as he prepares to take this penalty. The run-up, and it's saved! Jason Paradise with a stop! It wasn't a good penalty, off to the right, but not in the corner, and at a comfortable height for the goalkeeper. Jason Paradise, a hero twice already today. Can he make it a third time and see Up in Smoke through to the semi-finals of the Springfield Cup? He methodically places the ball on the spot and takes his position. This is for all the marbles. He trots forward. And he scores! Jason Paradise has sent his team through here. Falls to his knees and looks to the ceiling. His teammates rushing in to embrace him. A roller coaster ride of a match has ended in triumph for Up in Smoke, while Jaipur take away are left licking deep wounds. Another incredible moment in the illustrious history of this competition. Gavin, do you think this is a fair outcome overall?
Oh, I do, Dave. I'm happy for Up in Smoke. I feel for Jaipur takeaway, certainly, but Up in Smoke fought so hard today. A few things didn't go their way, but they persevered together and never gave up. For Jaipur, it's a tough one to take. They played well, but I think in the crucial battles in the midfield between Webb and Bowler, and the matchup between Conrad and Hancock, they came off second best, and that was telling. They needed a couple of wonder strikes from Hancock to stay in contention today.
The Up in Smoke players and their manager Dan McCabe salute their fans in the viewing gallery who have been put through the emotional ringer here today. Jaipur takeaway are forming their closing circle. The players and manager barefooted, cross-legged, hand in hand in a circle on this near side of the sports hall. Finally, Gavin, would you like to pick a man of the match?
Yes, Dave, it's got to be Webby for me. He scored a crucial goal in extra time, but more importantly, he was a rock in the midfield for Up in Smoke today. And he was tireless despite putting in a long shift. Man of the match, Adrian Webb.
Well, that's more than we've got time for today. Up in Smoke and Jaipur takeaway finish 4-4 after extra time, with Up in Smoke victorious in the penalty shootout. From my colleague Gavin Gooseberry,
cheers, Anne,
and myself, Dave Mattingly, it's so long until next time.